Prime Minister Modi speaking at the G20 summit in Turkey. Let's cut across live.
Your Excellency, President Xi Jinping, Your Excellency, President Jacob Zuma, Your Excellency, President Dilma Rousseff, I thank our host, President Putin, for excellent arrangements for today's meeting and for his leadership of BRICS. Congratulations for hosting a very successful 7th BRICS Summit. Excellencies, we stand united in strongly condemning the dreadful acts of terrorism in Paris. We express our deepest sympathy and support to Russia for the loss of life in Sinai. Ankara and Beirut are also reminders for terror's growing spread and impact. The entire humanity must stand together as one against terrorism. The need for a united global effort to combat terrorism had never been more urgent. This must also be a priority for BRICS nations. There was a time when the logic of BRICS and its lasting capacity were being questioned. We have provided proof of the relevance and value of BRICS through our actions, and this has come at a time of huge global challenges. The new development bank, the currency reserve arrangements, strategy for BRICS economic cooperation, these are the clear evidence of our vision and our resolve. Together, we can also give shape to G20. India attaches the highest importance to BRICS. We are honored to assume the chairmanship of BRICS from 1st February 2016 and build on the great work done by other members. The theme of India's BRICS chairmanship will be build responsive, inclusive and collective solutions, which in short will be BRICS. It aptly describes the ethos of our group. We are pleased that a BRICS partner, China, takes over the presidency of G20 in December 2015. We assure China of full support during its presidency. Thank you.
Спасибо большое за ваше выступление. Вступительное слово председатель Китайской Народной Республики господин Си Цзиньпин.
All right, Prime Minister Modi, they're speaking at the BRICS grouping in Antalia in Turkey. The Prime Minister started by condemning the attacks in the strongest words in Paris that was seen on Friday. The coordinated attacks that took place in the heart of Paris, which have left over 129 people dead, scores injured, who are some of them are critical at this juncture. The Prime Minister also said that China is going to be taking over as the head of G20, and that the Prime Minister saying there that India will extend all cooperation to China at the grouping. In fact, these are live visuals that you can see on your television screens coming in from Antalia in Turkey, where the Prime Minister Minister was just a short while back speaking at the BRICS grouping, very important grouping there of 5 nations. In fact, the Prime Minister started by condemning the Paris attacks. That is now definitely going to be the most important point that will be discussed even at G20 of the leading economies of the world, the 20 leading economies of the world as they meet in Turkey. The shadow of the Paris attacks will be clearly seen, as well as the war in Syria, apart from economy and climate change. Already the world leaders have united in condemning the attacks. France has said that they will go after ISIS and that nobody will be spared. Also, what we know at this present point is that investigations are continuing in Paris and that some of the links have been traced to Belgium. We understand that there is one suburb just outside Brussels which has been identified as the place from where 3 accomplices of the terrorists have been picked up. The Prime Minister there speaking in Antalia in Turkey, speaking out against terrorism and saying that it's time for people to stay united, speaking at the BRICS grouping there. Smita Sharma, Deputy Editor, is now joining us with more details. Smita, India has condemned the attacks in Paris in no uncertain terms there. World leaders have called for not just solidarity but for everyone to fight ISIS together. What is the way ahead that we are seeing? Is there any plan of action that we are seeing as far as fighting ISIS is concerned after the attacks in Paris?
You know, Maha, clearly the mood in G20 summit, which gets underway, ahead of which, of course, Narendra Modi was at the BRICS leaders meeting. The G20 was about to be terror, was about to be the economic climate, but it has, in a way, turned into the terror summit, really. So where, of course, the French President Hollande is unable to make it, given the current circumstances in his country, but will be represented, of course, by his foreign and other ministers. The world has been now divided in terms of ISIS, whether military solution is really the way forward. Coming in from here, if the countries are to put their might together and formulate a strategy, because you cannot clearly have a distinction between good and bad terrorism, something that India has been stressing on for the longest time, because India too has suffered terrorism in all the worst possible forms and manifestations. So and India has also been a proponent, remember, when it comes to terrorism, on that UN Convention on Global Terrorism that still needs for all countries to come together, where we've seen a significant difference in the way terrorism is defined.
Yes.
So while, yes, the France attacks really provides a center stage of sorts, it's being called to France's own 9/11 moment.
Yes.
For these leaders to come together and formulate a strategy, but will that happen? Russia has its own interests in that area. Turkey has its own interests.
That's true.
All of them do that, pick and choose sort of a game. So
Yes.
We'll have to watch as to how they can really move beyond words here.
Yes, absolutely. The fight against ISIS still remains very complicated when everybody looking at the interests of their country at the moment. And we're seeing this deadly attack in Paris and right after that, this G20 summit. The Prime Minister, of course, was speaking at the BRICS grouping, condemning the attacks in Paris to start with. Smita Sharma, many thanks for joining us with those details.